I want to, for everybody, I want to formally introduce you, Honorable Francis Anatogu is the Senior Special Assistant to the President of Nigeria on Public Sector Matters and the Secretary of the National Action Committee on the AfCFTA, and is representing Honorable Minister of Trade and Industry on this platform today. So let me just officially welcome you.
Yeah, good evening, everybody, or good morning, depending on where you are. I think, the conversation has been very good so far. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
It's been very good, and you've mentioned some key points. I think let me start from the last point. And you were spot on when you mentioned contracts and the timeline when you're dealing with international, the scale that you need to operate at when you want to do international trade. So, and yes, we produce all these products that we talk about, but not at the scale that we need to. So the second point to bear in mind is that hello, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, even locally, the likes of when we had an engagement as part of the AfCFTA sensitization, one of in Lagos, one of the participants got up and said, he has an agreement with ShopRite to supply their stores in Nigeria, all the stores in Nigeria, and he cannot cope. He doesn't have the capacity. So that talks to a critical element of what we need to do. And we have, and I think there's space for everybody, middlemen and so on, there's space for everybody to play. Because what you want is for people to focus in their small area and then pass it on to the other person to focus. Why is that critical? Because most of our producers, most of our businessmen and women are SMEs. If you think about it, even the documentation you need to do international trade takes time. It takes some level of knowledge to do. From that cost and time to comply with the rules of origin and all of that, with that, the international standards requirements and all of that, it is important that those that have the capacity to do, that take on this task, have this task and take them on. So what we are doing at the National Action Committee, the study is ongoing, is how do we aggregate what is happening at SME levels? Because it's a two-way street. You need to have the bigger companies or corporates with the capacity to go to market and then link them to the SMEs who they would provide the standards they will work on and make sure that they stick to those standards, and also be sure that they produce the products at the quality and quantity that the corporates need to be able to meet their contracts with the rest of the world. And I'm happy you mentioned that it is something that will take time, but it is critical. We produce all these things that we're talking about, but the reason why a lot of them are informal is because we are producing at a very low scale. So it's something that we are working on. It's something that AfCFTA provides us the opportunity to do. And Arnold and his team, Arnold is talking about what he's doing on a regional level. Arnold has been very busy on the services side as well. When he tells you about the services that go with even the products, you see the scale of what we need to do, and the opportunities are immense. The standardization as well, again, part of the way we are looking at the standardization, the packaging, and so on, is that you can't travel outside Nigeria without your passport. Similarly, our products can't travel to any other country without those certification and standards. So those are their passports, and that's how we are treating them. And we're working very closely with the Standards Organization of Nigeria, NAFDAC, a Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service, and the private sector to re-establish the technical committee that would have that will work with the private sector to certify Nigerian products to international standards so that these products can go. And what we also know is that the standards that we need to work on to supply Africa is the same standards that you need to supply America, the EU, and so on. So by focusing on AfCFTA, right, we are also indirectly, but more fundamentally, focusing on the rest of the world. But we have that platform, we have that preferential area that we are targeting, and we must do all of these in parallel. I like your point about trade and development at local level, and I'm so happy. I heard Honorable Onea, I think, talk about what he's doing between Kano and Lagos. It is important. It is very, very important, because as you build the skill and as you trade and grow and learn, then you're building the capacity that you can now take to the external market. So all these things are going, and really it tells you that we are not standing still. And as you said, oil is on its way out, even if not because of climate change. I mean, because of climate change, there's a lot happening in the renewable space as well. So really, we have no choice but to take on this route that we have taken, and a lot is happening. Like the cashew that Arnold talked about earlier, they are still growing in the wild. So this is money. You can then say that Nigerian bushes are paved with gold because they're all growing in the wild. When we start with what is going on, when we start harnessing them and start improving on their yield and so on, it will pretty much just take off. So I think I would say that I'm happy with all that is happening, and I'm happy with all the points. And it is critical that we keep working at these things. We are doing our bit at the National Action Committee. We're working, the aggregation study I mentioned is a study that we are doing with NEPC. There's another study that we are doing with NEPC, which is around the value chain. So we take cocoa, for example. Now, if you look at cocoa beans, and yes, there's a lot. We've doubled our export of cocoa bean. But if you look at the value chain of cocoa, right, then all of a sudden, I don't know if I can share my screen. Is it possible?
Yes, I believe so. You have panelist access.
Yeah, I mean, I'll look for it. Okay, if I still have it. But if you look at the value chain of cocoa, all of a sudden the market changes from $1 billion to $5 billion. So these are some of the opportunities that are there, and a lot is being done. A lot still needs to be done to realize them. And like you said, we are in a marathon race, not a sprint. But all this information, all this sensitization, people need to know about it. And another key point to know from Arnold, what Arnold said, is that the equipment he's talking about, he didn't say that they cost $1 billion. No. There are equipment that in tens of thousands or hundreds or thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars, which people can come together as a group and buy. And we are where we are. We are SMEs, so we work with our structure as they are today and grow and win with them. So it's not only when we build a massive factory that we will win with export. It's about this aggregation, making sure that everybody come and take your small area, play and do the best that you can do there. You get paid as and when do, and you move on. Everybody, we don't need the 200 million Nigerians exporting, but we need the 200 million Nigerians focusing on either the products or services in a small area. I think I'll stop here.